Hi guys, welcome back to another reaction video here on Our Eyes Your Eyes. I'm ready to watch episode 8 of season 2 of Made in Abyss. But before starting this video, I just want to remind you to subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell, leave a like to support me. And yeah, feel free to follow me in this desperation and abyss, yeah. In the previous episode, we discovered more about Irumyui, we understood more about Ueko too, and unfortunately we understand that Vazukian is one of the most terrible creature, human being, hollow. Let's see what's going to happen today. Are you ready to join me with these? Check it out. Oh, Reg is going back, yeah, to Faputa. What? Exactly. Yes, he forgot. Eh, yeah, maybe. Definitely. At least we know. Yeah. Come on. What the F is going on? Oh! But what is this promise? That's a nice question. That's right. That's right. But it was not because of your choice that you ate part of her. It's him. How much I dislike Vazukian. Oh no. Oh. Oh, I hate him. No, don't go with him. Oh my, look. Oh no. Oh my. You are the devil. I told you that he was using them! No, you deserve to die! No, look. No, you're disgusting. You are increasing the level of my will to throw up. Poor Weko, look at poor Irumyu. No, you're not guilty. No. Eh. No. 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 It's not the right thing to do. Oh. I think so. She just wanted to be loved. Just to stay there, yes. If you're there, it's fine. I'm destroyed already. Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. Oh! Of course. Of course. Especially lies. And then one day she exploded. Okay. What's Capio meaning? It's still there, yes. Yeah. That's the relic. Yes. No. What? What the F? No, look at this man has to perish, okay? No. I can't refrain from commenting this by using bad words, okay? No, she didn't wish that. No, that's what he wished. Oh no, F way. Hiromi became like this because of him, of course. How do you know? Oh, what the F? I think her wish is to let you perish, and I would agree with this. Oh no. Where is she going? She's taking them somewhere, maybe? Oh no, don't put this music because it makes me cry more than before. Oh! Oh yeah, because of the force field! Oh my... I think Belaf is the real intelligent one here. No. How much I hate him. Look, I can't, okay? I can't. I don't care about his purpose. I don't care why he is doing this. I don't care. Oh, they went down? Oh, yeah. She's starting transforming. No, he can't take it anymore. Yeah. Yeah. At least he knows that he was bad. But there's nothing human over there anyway, yes? Infected and he's transforming too. What the F? It's like an access to somewhere, yes, because it's inside of herself, right? Oh, what? Eh, yeah, like when they arrived at the village. Here we go. And in fact, he became what he is now. He had a wish, and then he had to donate something from himself. That's what happened. Beautiful, but they're crazy. No F way. But now Weko is going to refuse. No, no, look all these brainwashed people. Weko doesn't want to go. Yes! I like Weko. Yes! And in fact, that's what not. Of course. To stay away from you, definitely. She wants to sacrifice herself. So tell me what's her wish in this case. Oh no! Oh no, but then what's going to happen? Because she is still alive. What? He also has one egg. Yeah, but look at what did you do to her? I mean, you're cursing them both. And here we go. Eh? Oh no, F way. Oh yeah. And that's why. No. No, this is all wrong. I thought that. Yeah. Um. That's why she's connected. But isn't she in the sacrifice hall? That's right. Yeah. Okay. And yes, this moment arrived. Oh, so Faputa is her last child. It's not her. Oh my. And it was the good, right thing to do. Yes. Okay. Yes. Look, I agree with this at this point. Because she didn't want to become this. And they are protected by this shield, yes, because if they pass. In fact, she was the queen and Faputa is the princess. Okay, it makes sense now. Oh, if that was her wish, that was the most beautiful one. Okay. Okay. Oh my, this is even worse. Look, she will always be surrounded by them forever until Riko arrived, but... So that was the sacrifice whole... Oh my, Weko. Now I understood everything. What the F3? Okay. And I agree, let me tell you. What's the promise she made to Reg? No, if you experienced the same thing, I don't think that you would like to argue. Yeah. Yeah. But maybe a Reg can. To let Irumyui free. Of course. Okay, guys. Whew, another incredible episode finished. Look, as much as I was telling you for the previous commentary, I think that this video will last pretty long. As much as I was telling you, I wrote some notes down, so I will not skip anything, because even for this episode there are so many things to say, so many things to analyze, and I think that it really deserves. I mean, Made in Abyss is one of my favorite stories, and I think that it's also many other people's favorite stories because it has included lots of symbols, lots of things to say, and that's why I think that it's one of the most important and even great stories so far. It's like a masterpiece. So for a masterpiece we need a time to think, time to say things, and that's it. So feel free to follow me till the end of this video. If you can't, I can understand you because it takes quite a long time and it takes lots of patience. But anyway, feel free to follow me in the case you wanted to know more about this episode, more about my thoughts, and let's see if your thoughts are connected with mine. So stay tuned and keep on watching. Even in this episode I will analyze scene after scene because there is a logical explanation for everything, and you understood that now more than ever we know everything about what happened to Irumyui and Weko connected to Faputa. First of all, there is this first scene in which we see that Reg finally can reach Faputa because he wants to meet her, also because he doesn't remember anything from his past, anything from what happened, and as most of all, he doesn't remember the connection between the two, because Reg in 2 or 3 episodes before was talking to Faputa, but Faputa could recognize Reg, definitely, but it was not the same for Reg, because we know that his memories are erased. Reg is really honest in this, and that's why he's asking Faputa to help him, because we need a part of her in order to save Nanachi and Mitty from the spell they are in. Especially Nanachi, because Mitty is just there, and Nanachi, when she saw Mitty, she went crazy and she decided to spend all her time together over there next to Belaf. And of course Faputa's reaction was simply amazed at a certain point, but at the same time she didn't refuse to help Reg, also because she is still thinking about the promise that they both made. Okay, this promise is a question mark, sincerely, because we know that Reg promised her something, or she made a promise together with him, and we still don't know what that promise is. But in my opinion, when we reach the end of the episode, we understand what that promise is. And I think that if I'm right, okay, you have to go at the end of the video to understand what I mean, but if I am right, I think that things will get complicated here, and things are going to change probably. And in fact, the Faputa was saying to Reg, if you fulfill your promise, then I will be Rex or something. That means I will be Faputa of Reg. And this is another thing that we have to think about, because if the promise is I do something for you, for example, and in return you will have me, you will have a Faputa, and Faputa will become a belonging to Reg. What does that mean? Go at the end of the video, because we will discuss about this promise more. But even in this case, she wanted something, and maybe she has to lose something from herself in order to gain what she wants. And that's why maybe she wants to belong to Reg. Who knows? But once again, even in this episode, there was this flashback in which we see that Reg is seeing her eyes full of tears, as if there is a sort of a separation. And in fact, at the end of the episode, you understand many things about this separation, why Reg could meet her, etc., etc. So I think that this episode was clearer than before, and finally we understand many things. But when Reg will be able to regain his memories, what if he remembers everything that happened to that village? What if he will understand what Faputa told him about her story, about her knowledge that she gained? What if he will also remember how this village is consuming her and consumed even her mom, confined her, not consuming her, but confined her in that place while they were consuming Irumyui? I mean, will Reg agree with everything that will happen later, or he will keep that promise? We have to stay tuned and keep on watching. But I think that once Reg will remember, as much as I was telling you, things will change quite a lot. And maybe these can create troubles even for our team. I mean, Riko, Nanachi, and Reg too. So let's see what's going to happen. But the most important thing is that now we understand what's Faputa's wish, and we know that she wants to avenge her mom, she wants to let her free, and she will do everything she can in order to go out from the place she is right now, to not be confined anymore, and to destroy, first of all, the village itself, but even the things that made that village possible. So that's why I'm saying that she is pretty under control, and at the same time she really knows what to do. And that's why I think that that promise is the key of everything. And that's why I was thinking, what if Reg at that time wanted to save her, wanted to let her free? I mean, I'm talking about Faputa, because while they were talking, actually, And by knowing her story, I definitely think that Reg was really kind, really sensitive, and at that time I really wanted to save her instead of oppose her as much as we saw at the beginning of this second season, in which by not remembering he didn't even know what to expect from her. He thought that she was an enemy, etc., because he is lacking of memories. But that's why I'm saying I think that he really wants to save her instead. But there are some missing things, and that's why Reg can't understand where he has to stand, because this is something that can change everything forever. So I think that I agree with Reg when he's saying, please tell me this promise once again. Tell me what I don't remember, because maybe if I can remember thanks to your memories, then it's easy for me to help you probably, or to understand where am I, who am I, and whatsoever. So I think that Reg, instead of acting impulsively, he really wants to know first, and I think that that's the right choice. Otherwise, there's the chance, there's the risk that things can change without even knowing, and that's even worse. So I really agree Reg's behavior by doing these. And then once again you see that there is these returning favors, because while Faputa wants to help Reg for real based on the promise they made, at the same time Reg wants to try to help her too by knowing what's wrong, by knowing what kind of promise he made to her. So I really like this thing, and that's why I understand that probably the promise refers to something that can help Faputa, because that's why she also wants to help him. I thought even another thing, and I think probably this is wrong, but I'm going to share this thought with you anyway. And my thought is that what if Reg was already getting in touch with Eliza, for example, and he was asking Faputa to wait over there until a certain Riko was coming down the abyss to help her. I thought about this throughout the episode, because later you will see what I'm thinking, especially at the end of the episode when Riko is understanding Weko's story, and you also understand how Riko is replying, and especially you understand what Irumyui wants for Faputa. And that's why I'm saying, what if Reg was already getting in touch with Liza, and yeah, he was just asking her to wait, because that moment was about to come, and in fact it came, because they descended to the abyss, and as soon as Faputa recognized the Reg, she said, oh, you are my Reg, let me smell, because she wanted to verify. So what if that was part of the promise too? And that's why, as much as I was telling you in the previous commentary, I can't wait to see the moment in which Riko will interact with Faputa, because I think that somehow they have some things in common, and they also have some wishes. So I think that Riko is the perfect character to talk to her, to listen to her, and to create a way to build a sort of a bond, a sort of connection that can help both of them to become better together. The thing that I like about Riko is that every time she's finding other people in danger, other people, or anyway creatures who are harmed, who are hit, like in the case of Prushka, she is always really sensitive, and she really wants to understand what happened first as much as what's happening now, when Weko is explaining her all the story before judging, and that's another great characteristic of Riko. But I think, yeah, the greatness of Riko is that she's always giving a chance to others to join her in this journey, or to restart their life in a different way. It happened with Nanachi, so what if it might happen even with Faputa? I would really like to see Faputa in the team, because she has great knowledge of how the abyss is, and she really knows how to approach other creatures in the future. So let's see what's going to happen, and later I'm going to talk to you about this more connected with what the episode told me. So I really think that Riko is the key of everything here, and she might help her so much. Also because Riko can definitely understand this bond between a mother and daughter more than anybody else. Also, she wants to go back to her mom. Also, she wants to free her mom from the condition in which she is, or from the place in which she is staying. And also, she wants to reconnect to her mom too. So, as much as I was telling you, I think that these two characters have great things in common, and she can definitely create a bond with Riko. And I think that Faputa, by doing something like this, can reborn, can start a new life, can have a sort of rebirth and a new chance. And you know that Riko is good for new chances, especially after the movie number 3. So I can't wait to see how these stories evolving, and even this power that Riko has to change people or to change the abyss somehow. On the other side, I really like Reg too, because without waiting for this sacrifice that Faputa has to make in order to save Nanachi, he really prefers to understand what that promise is, and he really wants not to put herself in danger. This is something great. I really like this way in which Reg is always protecting others instead of acting impulsively, as much as I was telling you. So I think that all these characters are matching perfectly, because each of them has different qualities, but at the same time, by combining all these qualities together, they can create something really beautiful, and that's why they can descend the abyss. I think that the abyss can be descended not just by one person alone, but by a community, by people who can struggle together and can put all of their abilities together. In the case of the Ganja group, we saw that they were having this defect. In that case, there was always a leader leading all of them, descending the abyss, and they couldn't even say their opinions because their opinions didn't count anything. But on the contrary, this team has this greatness that all of them are cooperating in the same way with different characteristics. And that's why this team can go ahead, because they are all meaningful. They all have the ability to say what they have to say, to suggest, and to descend the abyss as equal members, not as a hierarchy. And as much as I was telling you many times, the hierarchy is always a problem, because once you have this hierarchy, you always have to stay under somebody, and you are not powerful at all to say something contrary, to say your opinion, to say that they are wrong and whatsoever. So I think that that's a huge difference. And anyway, Faputa doesn't matter, because she's saying to Reg, oh, don't worry, I mean, I'm going to give you my arm. Because I think that that was a part of her arm, because she has 4 arms, but at the same time, it was like as if she was splitting herself into 2 parts, because the right side of her body was gone completely, even the ear. So that was a huge sacrifice. But she is also saying, oh, it's not a big deal, because if this is for the promise you said at that time, okay, it's fine, I can do that. That's why I'm saying that Reg promised her to save her, or promised her to let her out from the place she's in. And that's why she's available. That's why she doesn't mind if she has to do what she has to do, especially if Reg is telling her that there is somebody dear to him waiting to be released. So if that's the same condition that she's living, she is fine. She's going to help him, because she understands how does it feel. that's the most important thing, when there is empathy between the characters. And I think that between Faputa and Reg, there is a huge empathy, but unfortunately, Reg doesn't remember still. I was also thinking, in the meantime, even if I still have one precise idea about what the promise is, and these ideas are regarding always the promise, but even what's Reg's mission. Because I really think that together with Riko, but even without Riko, Reg would have discovered sooner or later all the mysteries of the Abyss, or anyway, he really wanted to understand where he was coming from, because you know that even in season 1, by not remembering the place he was born, by not remembering who he was, I think that no matter if Riko was there or not, he would have always had this curiosity to investigate, to understand the place he's belonging to, and to go back probably inside the Abyss to find an answer. So I think that even when he was discussing with Faputa, when he got all his memories in the past, probably they were asking themselves also these. I mean, maybe they were asking about all these mysteries of the Abyss, and maybe Reg was telling Faputa, look, one day we will discover all the mysteries of the Abyss. One day we can create a journey in which we explore even the bottom of the Abyss, or we can find all the answers for the reason why we are here and why we belong here. So what if Reg was promising even these connected to the main promise, but can you imagine you meet this creature down the Abyss and you understand her condition, but at the same time you know where you're from and there are some other mysteries unsolved, no matter the fact that you remember everything. So I think that even the way in which you don't know about the rest of the Abyss is an enigma, and maybe they were connected by this mystery too, not just because of the promise, but even they could create a sort of a bond or a sort of a dialogue in which they were analyzing what they know, what they don't know, and maybe they were aiming for knowing all this that was left. Or maybe he would also have promised her that this would have never happened again, that once he could have released her, she would have been free and she didn't have to be confined over there where we saw. And in fact, there is always a barrier between Faputa and the rest of the village, and more than this episode we understood why. But yeah, I think that she needs to be released, and by being released, maybe nothing like this will happen again, and she, by being free, can restart all over again, and at the same time she can start a new journey. That is the most important thing, because all these characters we know have a great mission, and this great mission is to reach the bottom of the Abyss and at the same time to climb it up. So what if even Faputa, by joining them, will have the chance to tell them how to climb the Abyss up, because maybe there is still a chance. I have noticed that when Faputa is talking to Reg, she is always saying the word sosu. I don't know what this means. Does this mean a friend? Does this mean a partner in crime? Does this mean brother? Does this mean fellow or something? Or maybe something regarding Reg's past. I mean, maybe Reg is not his real name, even if Faputa said that even before Reg, I mean, even before we knew Reg, his name was Reg. So what is Sosu? I can't wait to discover more. And for this, we need Riko, because you know that Riko knows the language now, and she wanted to learn it more. That's why I'm saying that we need Riko to meet Faputa, because I really believe that this meeting can change things. And then Faputa, at a certain point, after she made that sacrifice, she's saying, we will eradicate them. This is a powerful sentence that I definitely believe that it's connected to the promise. I think it means Faputa and Reg together. And them, I think it refers to the village, or to the villagers, to the people that were transformed into hollows, especially after what we know from the story of Weko. Or is it connected to something else, to somebody else? Because them can also refer to the relics. Especially in this episode, we know that the relic was not one, it was three. So what if these them is referring to the relic, that these relics anyway are part of the abyss? That's why I was thinking, what if these plural is used not for the villagers as the main interpretation that we can make, but it's referred to someone else, someone that made all this possible. Weko, as a narration before the opening, she is asking herself why they were finding themselves in that place. And I agree with this question. I mean, I really want to know why Weko and the Ganja group specifically had to go deep down the abyss. Of course, I know that the Ganja group were not associated to the society anymore because they were the leftovers of the society, let's call them like this, and they had to go away from it. But at the same time, why them? Why not other people? This is really interesting, and that's why I'm thinking that Weko can find her answer in that compass that she was using in order to reach the abyss, the same compass that then Vazukian was talking about later in the episode. But I think that this compass is so mysterious. Do you remember even that native old man that was looking at this compass was saying immediately, that thing, that's really important, or something like that. But we also know that Weko had that compass even before reaching the abyss. So my questions are, what is that compass? Who gave Weko that compass? Did she find it randomly? Did somebody give it to her? If that's so, who was that person? Was that person still knowing about the abyss too? Or maybe it was found somewhere that nobody understood what that was. I think that sooner or later they will talk about that compass too, because it's omnipresent since the beginning, and we needed to know where that thing comes from, because it means that even the rest of the world, except for the abyss area, knew about the abyss or not. This is another interesting thing, because we needed to know, as much as I was telling you many times, who created the abyss, who was the purpose to create this abyss, and if this creator of the abyss is someone human, or it's someone supernatural. And that's interesting, and it's really important to understand this question, because if it's a human, it means that something malevolent created this abyss on purpose, because these human beings probably wanted to become immortal, or wanted to have superpowers, as much as even the three sages were saying before. Or if it was something supernatural, there has to be a reason, a deep meaning, because this abyss was created. And then another thing that Weko is saying while narrating is that they are there because of their choices. They are the result of all the choices they made. And I really agree with these, because as much as I was telling you in the previous episode, when they found this cradle of desire, that is the relic, they were talking about the decisions to make. And as much as I was telling you, religiously speaking, we're talking about the free will that everyone has, because God is giving us the chance to choose. And this important tool, important power that we have, it's definitely changing our life based on the choices that we make. So I think that you can see this story even religiously speaking. I don't think that it's just a matter of adventure, but sometimes it really touches some subjects, some supernatural subjects, and even the shape of the abyss, as much as I was telling you many times, resembles the descending to hell. But recently I was checking the map of the abyss, and to me it sounds like an uterus. I mean, that organ that women have in order to procreate, in order to give birth to kids. And if you notice, throughout this adventure, the main protagonists are always kids. That's really strange what I'm saying, but, and probably it is, but I really like to find many connections with what we see, what we hear, and how they say things, or what we see, the symbols that they use, and all this stuff. But yeah, definitely, you can also have this way to watch this story religiously speaking. And I think that except for hell, except for the seven deadly sins, except for, yes, this journey to hell because you go underground, yeah, even this thing of the free will is super important, because it makes all these characters to choose what they want to do, and until they go ahead till the purpose they have to reach, they have to choose many things. But what if these decisions are good? What if these decisions are bad? It depends. You will never know until you try. And that's the enigma, that's the question mark. Because when you choose to do something, you don't know the consequences of what you do. And that's why even Riko is saying, unfortunately, we are here because we wanted to reach here. We are here because of our decisions, and we are the result of what we are now because of our decisions. And I totally agree with this. I mean, if Riko didn't find the compass, if Riko didn't decide to join the Ganja group, if Riko didn't decide to descend the abyss, if Riko and even Irumyui that was together with her didn't do that, if Riko didn't decide to use this egg for Irumyui's destiny, all these things, right? If you think about that, all these decisions made the story go worse, unfortunately. But it's also the price you have to pay for your decisions. That's why I think that Riko was always cursed at the end of the day. And she was cursed since the beginning. But now more than ever, we understand that her curses are connected, or are connecting to other people's curses. It's like as if when she's touching something, by being cursed, she's cursing others. And that's how she feels, actually. She's telling this even later in the episode, but that's how I felt too. I felt that Riko feels that she's condemned already. And the more she's getting in touch with others, she is afraid to condemn others. And that's what happened, actually. But in her case, her intention was to save her friend. And at the end of the day, it was not like this. She was cursing her friend more than ever. It's the consequence of her decisions. Of course, if she would have known what happened so far, she would have never agreed. But as much as I was telling you, you don't know until you try. So it's always up to what we decided to do. The only thing that she didn't know, because she couldn't decide, was to eat her friend, or to eat parts of her friend's children, because she was really weak, she was sick, she didn't even know what she was eating. So I don't think that she's responsible for that. That's the only thing that she is not responsible for. In that case, that was Vazukian, because Vazukian knew what to do, and at that time he decided to do that because he saw that all the others were resting peacefully and they could recover. So he used the same method with Weko too. But for all the rest, yes, she was. And I like Weko because she's not even denying these. I mean, she's not saying, no, I didn't do that, or no, I was not responsible for that at all. She's admitting to herself the mistakes she made. And I think that that's already a step forward, because Weko is really honest, really humble to recognize what she did. And that's why she can't live anymore, because the regrets and even the guilt is more than her own life. And at a certain point, to be honest with you, I thought that Vazukian was waiting until Weko felt sick to let her feel part of this guilty feeling that he was also feeling. I mean, you know that Vazukian doesn't show you any emotion and anything else, but I think that he also felt guilty somehow for everything that was happening. And instead of being alone in this, I think that if even Weko can feel guilty too, there's no escape for her in this case. She has to feel guilty too. I don't want to handle this by myself only. I want that even others feel guilty as much as I am. And in fact, you see that even Belaf was feeling so guilty. I mean, his soul was deeply consumed little by little because of all this situation. To be honest, I changed my mind about Belaf a little bit, because in the previous episode I saw that he was always listening to Hiromiui and Weko when they were talking. He was trying to find info about Hiromiui, so he and Vazukian knew what to do. But as soon as they tried all this and they understood how bad it was, at least Belaf was recognizing how he was feeling. And even this sense of guilt, sense of regrets that he was feeling, and all this was consuming his soul, his thoughts, and he was becoming crazy. But yeah, I was telling you this about Vazukian because if Weko would have known that the cure was to eat Hiromiui, she would have never accepted, right? So she would have preferred to die instead. But Vazukian waited until the moment in which she was sick, so she couldn't refuse anymore because she was not conscious. He was letting her eat that part of Hiromiui, so then she couldn't say, no, I didn't do that. She did that. And that's why Vazukian wanted to curse her more and more and more. Do you remember? Even at the beginning when they were descending the abyss, he was saying, oh yes, you can take that girl with us. I mean, I still don't remember if that was Vazukian or Belaf, but I think that both the sages were agreeing with these, especially after they recognized, in my opinion, that on the back side of her back, of Hiromiui's back, it was written sacrifice. I think Vazukian, as much as I was telling you, knew she was about to be sacrificed sooner or later. He didn't know when, but he knew that it could have been available for something. That was the first one. And then when Weko decided to use that Cradle of Desire relic for Hiromiui, he didn't say, no, don't use that, it's dangerous or something. No, he was saying, okay, I accept that, do that. See? And then now, when he is helping her eating part of Hiromiui, part of her best friend, part of her daughter, because Weko was considered as Hiromiui's mom from a certain point on. So, see, Vazukian, it's like as if he wants to open this wound more and more and more by cursing Weko. And he doesn't even care, sincerely, because his purpose is more important than the rest. And we saw these throughout the entire episode. I mean, his attitude that is simply disgusting, horrible, terrifying and abominous. That look, if I have to spend some other words for Vazukian, I think that they are all bad words, so I don't want to tell them, but you understood what I mean. And even when Weko, before the beginning of the opening, is saying, we don't have answers, we have to find all these answers by ourselves. Yeah, even in this case, it's a religious concept. Because, yeah, I'm talking about Catholic Church, and usually they tell you, you shouldn't doubt of what to believe. You should just find answers inside yourself, and they are enough. Even if you don't see, it's enough for you to know that something exists without giving you proofs that this exists. So even in this case, you don't have answers to your questions. The only answers you can find is inside yourself. And to find these answers by yourself, because nobody is going to grant you answers, and nobody is going to do your homework for you, because that's you who have to do that. So even in this case, yeah, when everything is still a doubt, when everything is still a question mark that can't be solved, yeah, this feeling of the unknown that is terrifying you, especially in this episode when you see that Weko doesn't even know what to do anymore because she's so confused. She is punishing herself and she really wants to find answers to try to save her friend, but she can't. I mean, all these things that are consuming her little by little, the answers are still gone. They are not with her. And little by little, she's going to receive all these answers. But when she has all the answers, do you think that it was better not to have the answers instead? Because sometimes you reach a point in which when you ask a question and you want an answer, but if your sixth sense knows that that answer is wrong, sometimes you think, is it better if I don't know the answer? And I think that Weko had the same feeling, I guess, especially the more she went on and the more she discovered everything that was waiting for her throughout this adventure. But even in this case, was the creator of the Abyss the one who was helping these characters starting having these questions about themselves, about the setting, about what was going on? I mean, sometimes I think that this creator of the Abyss is something supernatural, yeah, something that is not human, but is helping these human beings to go inside this adventure, to analyze themselves more, and to understand where human beings can go. The purpose of the creator of the Abyss is to test human beings and to see how far they can go with their humanity. When they are starting not to be inhuman, what caused them not to be human still? And it can be a transformation, like in the case of the Hollows. It can be even the greedy feelings they have to reach something they really want, that turn them into demons. They are not humans at all. So this lack of humanity reaches when exactly? When there is a price to pay? When you want to reach more knowledge than others and be superior than others? When you decide that you can step on others, curse others for your own sake? And then, yeah, talking about Belaf, here we see the descendants to hell, to his personal hell, because he feels disgusted, because he also thought that that part of Irumyui that he was eating was delicious, and he could have never expected to reach that level, especially because we know that Belaf was really intelligent, really brave, but at the same time really conscious. And we know that thanks to this contamination of water, everyone was turning into something that they were not. They were losing energy, they were losing their mental health, they were so weak, they had lots of diarrhea, they were losing themselves. So even Belaf couldn't even realize where he was going. And he's also saying that he was suspecting things like these. I mean, he was not sure of what was going on. And when he's saying like this, I don't know if he's referring to the soup that they were eating, or the fact that, yeah, they were using a part of irumyui to create this soup and then to help others recovering, or if he is talking about the Vazukian specifically, because we know that he and Vazukian had a plan, and we know that Belaf was hearing everything that the two were saying when they were all by themselves, and then he was referring to Vazukian everything, so Vazukian could plan everything. But was he suspecting of a Vazukian, or was he suspecting of these thing that Vazukian was doing on Irumyui for his own purpose? That's really interesting too. But yeah, I have to say that if at the beginning of this story I was suspicious about Belaf, and I was not liking him sincerely, especially when he wanted to use Irumyui even to translate this, to translate that, when he also saw that tattoo of a sacrifice behind her back. So I think that by being so intelligent, he knew where they were all going. But later I really liked the way in which he was condemning himself for what he did, to be honest enough to realize that everything that was created was also because of his mistake and not because of other people's mistakes. I think that that was already a great step forward, recognizing what he did and why he did that, because he was saying that that was his ambition, that was his greed to know more, and because of this purpose he was condemning others, he was condemning himself too, and there was no turning back because of this. And let me tell you, I really liked the way in which he was torturing himself because of the pleasure he felt for this sacrifice. Yeah, I think that when you see Belaf, that he is trying to push his skin down and he's torturing his face, he can't even stop moving. He seems, yeah, crazy, insane. He knows that he has to live with this consciousness inside this body, so the more he is touching himself, the more he wants to get rid of this body that is guilty too, because that's where the digestion of what he ate can start as a process. So not just the soul is condemned, but even the body that was feeling a pleasure for these is condemned. Sometimes I thought that even Belaf didn't want to use his eyes anymore, and that's why he was carving here, because he hoped that his eyes went out from his body, because the more he could see, the more he could feel guilty because of everything that happened. So sometimes I was thinking, was he focusing on his eyes because by turning blind he didn't have the chance to see, so the more you don't see, the more you feel better? Or was he just do something like this because he couldn't even stand himself anymore? That's really interesting. But the way in which the author is exploring these feelings, and the way in which the author wants to let you understand how you are chained, how you are imprisoned inside your own curse when you make a mistake, it's marvelous. And then Vazukian arrives, and as I was telling you already, his attitude is simply disgusting, because you see that even if Weko is afraid for Belaf, that something might happen to him because of his insanity, Vazukian is there saying, oh no, don't worry, Belaf is okay, anyway, he's one of the three sages. I mean, it seemed to me as if he was hypnotized, as much as I was telling you already, as if he is, possessed by something. Because how is it possible that you don't have any sort of a reaction seeing your comrade like that? But at the same time, I can answer myself this question by thinking that Vazukian never considered them as comrades. Maybe he was just considering them as tools to use in order to reach his goal, and he has never thought that they could have become the same level as he is, or things like that. So, as I was telling you at the beginning of this commentary, there is a huge difference between this group and the group of Riko, Reg and Nanachi, or Mitti, Mania and Prushka. As you can see, the difference is the way in which these characters are interacting, and the fact that they can't create a community, but they are creating a hierarchy. Then I simply felt disgusted, and I also cried in this episode because I couldn't stand the way in which Vazukian was describing, analyzing Iromui's conditions at this point, and the way in which he was saying, she's giving birth even at night, she is giving birth a lot, and usually I'm taking care of everything while you were sleeping. I mean, it seems as if he is taking care of all this situation, but at the same time, the way in which he's talking, the tone of the voice he's using, and the way in which he is not feeling any empathy for Irumyui that was a comrade she was supposed to be. I mean, she was the tour guide, and if at the beginning he was afraid that something might have happened to her because she is the tour guide, now he feels as if it's right to do so, because he already knew that she was the salvation for everyone. So it seems that what he is doing, it's totally fine because of this, because as I was telling you in the previous commentary, human beings are selfish. So if they are safe, thanks to Irumyui, that's something great, because they are safe. They don't care about Irumyui, because the most important thing is to stay alive, to be safe. And that's what's happening even in real life. I mean, when something happens to us, we are more important than other people's conditions, because we come first. And that's a great example here in this story. Vazukian makes you understand that until he's reaching his goal, he's going to do everything he can, no matter the fragility, no matter the hardship, no matter the struggling. He doesn't care, because the purpose is more important than anybody else. But yeah, the disgusting way in which he's also saying, Mom is here, when he's opening the curtain, and for the first time after such a long time, Ueko is seeing Irumyui. I mean, that was heartbreaking. The way in which you see how Ueko is shocked by the new shape that Irumyui has now, that she can't even see her eyes. She lost her humanity totally, and we can't even recognize her. It's just a pinkish amount of thing. And then even the fact that she can't talk anymore. She's just whispering some words, and she doesn't make any logical statement anymore as before, as the beginning. When Irumyui was learning the language from Ueko, and she was also explaining about her village, etc., etc. So you see the difference. And we know that she's giving birth every day, and these babies, I mean these creatures that she's giving birth are lasting one day. And she keeps hugging them and crying at the same time, because she really loves them, because she really wanted to be a mom, but at the same time, on the contrary, she's crying a lot because they are dying, and she can't refrain them from dying. That's the worst nightmare for a mother. I think that the worst moment in this episode was when Vazukian is taking the babies away from Irumyui. That's something that makes my heart break, because I can only imagine how does it feel for a mother to see her creature taken away like that, and she knows that she will not be able to see it anymore. That's cruel. That's, yeah, cruelty 100%. Ueko is there looking at all the scene, and she's also seeing that Vazukian has no empathy regarding this situation. he doesn't understand that deep inside Irumyui as a creature, there's Irumyui as a girl who wanted to be a mom. And he's also saying that he was using these creatures for the food too, because Irumyui was not enough and they needed more food because many more were getting sick, and he didn't know what to do anymore because he couldn't find other food somehow. So he needed some food in order to recover them. But he's saying that the fresh flesh was better than Irumyui, and that's why the creatures were, the baby creatures, were even better than Irumyui itself. Now I'm asking myself, why did they need these creatures to recover? I mean, it seems as if the fresh flesh, as much as when Riko arrived in this village and she was the human child, and you know that a human child was so precious, more than Hollows, more than Nanachi, more than Reg. I mean, Riko is super important because of this. But anyway, why kids are always important in this story? Why the younger you are, the better it is? Is it because of the innocence? Is it because of the energy, that the properties that these fresh flesh can give? But even if that's the case, why did they need these creatures in order to be saved by this contaminated water? I mean, it's like as if the abyss every time needs some fresh flesh to go on, to be still there, as if it's like a Ouroboros. I mean, this snake that is eating its own tail. Yeah, I'm always wondering why this contaminated water needs to be ended inside their bodies because of these. Is it because there is this huge contrast between life and death? I mean, it's like as if the younger you are, the more vitality you have, the more you can contrast death. Or it's like as if we are making a contrast between young and old. That means the more you're becoming without energy, you need an opposite that can give you energy once again. And if we talk about Irumyui, Irumyui is not young enough, also because she spent lots of time inside the abyss, and we know that time inside the abyss is distorted, so we don't know how old Irumyui is right now compared to the surface. So these young creatures can be the huge contrast that we need in order to recover this illness. But as you can see, even Made in Abyss as a story is full of contrasts. I mean, full of opposites, and this is one of the cases. Or is it because these young creatures and this fresh flesh was born in the abyss, and it's a way to contrast the evil side of the abyss, and probably if we had something else it was not useful the same. I'm talking about this because even Riko, for example, she was born stillborn, as you all know. So even in her case, she's so useful to the abyss most of the times, and she could be put inside a relic in order to be revived. But what I'm saying is that even Riko, by being a child, and she was also stillborn in the abyss, does this mean that even Riko has this ability to recover others from their conditions, or that she can save them? Yes, I think that's the perfect connection too, because in the case of Prushka, she was feeling abandoned and she had that bad destiny with Bondorudo, but she could save Prushka from there, and she could take Prushka away by being the white whistle. Even in the case of Nanachi, she wanted to save Nanachi by not being so lonely and condemned to stay next to Miti all the time, or to stay by herself without me. So that's why I'm saying, what if the next one is Faputa? I really hope that. Because even Riko, by being a young kid, by being a human child in this case, by being born, stillborn, can she have these great characteristic too, the power to save others in the abyss? And then another thing that I was talking to you about some minutes ago is that there is this great subject of the relationship between mother and daughter in this episode specifically, but even in the rest of the story. Because you know that there is a great bond between Irumyui and Weko at the beginning, when Weko was making the role of the mother and Irumyui the role of the daughter, and Irumyui was feeling so great next to her, as if she was at home. And then we have Irumyui and her creatures. Irumyui in this case is the mom, and the creatures are the daughters and sons. And even in this case you find this great attachment between the two sides. Going back talking about Riko, we have Riko and Liza. Even in this case, since the beginning of this story, we have this daughter who wants to reconcile with her mom, that she wants to find her mom deep inside the abyss. So is it a coincidence that there is always a mother and a daughter here, or mother and child, or not? As much as I was telling you before, even the shape of this abyss reminds me of an uterus. So what if the abyss is the mother of something? I mean, the mother of existence, or the mother of all these scenes. I mean, it's, yeah, the shape is like that. So is it that I'm saying something stupid or not? Let's stay tuned and keep on watching. And let me tell you, talking about Vazukian, he is the only one who is not affected by this contaminated water. Is it because later we know that he got the third egg, or is it because of something else? I don't know. But yeah, even in the previous episode I forgot to tell you probably the fact that Vazukian was the only one who was fine. He didn't contract anything, so that was already suspicious, in my opinion, but now, more than ever in this episode, we understand why, probably. Yeah, while he is talking about all these things regarding Irumyui, the way in which he is not sensing anything, the language that he's using, the way in which he's touching this creature with the knife, the way in which he's also asking Wek without any sort of a regret about what he's saying. Oh, would you like to cook this time? I mean, you're in front of a person who is cursed because of what happened to her friend. And then you're asking this same person to cook one of her friend's creatures. I don't know if Vazukian is a sociopath, but let me tell you, it seemed so, because you know that sociopaths don't have any sort of a reaction or sensitivity when something bad is about to happen to others. They don't care, they don't feel anything. That's why I'm saying this attitude that Vazukian is having throughout all the episodes, but even throughout all the season, is disgusting, is terrible, as if he is managing all this situation. Is it maybe because he's controlled by somebody already? Or is it because of the purpose? As much as I was telling you, maybe the purpose was more important than anything else, that if he found the chance to save everyone, yeah, that's great, because we go to the next level. We needed to reach the purpose, right? So if we can erase the first problem of that, then we are able to face the second level, and the second level is harder than the previous one. As you can understand, if you put yourself in mind that the goal is more important, no matter what's happening in the middle, the goal has to be reached. And even in this case, when he was cutting this creature brutally with that knife, as if, yeah, we are talking about cannibalism, I don't know how to say it more than this, because even if these creatures were not human beings, but anyway, Irumyui was a human being. If we know this, we also know that Irumyui was used as a machine to give birth to these creatures and feed everyone thanks to these in order to recover. But look, I noticed that even after recovering, maybe they were keep using that meat or they were keep cooking it because there was no other food around them. So that's cannibalism. I mean, even if they transformed, and even if these creatures are not living things, okay, they live, but they live one day, but they are coming from a human being. So now I'm asking another thing to myself. What if that restaurant, do you remember, in which even Riko was eating at that time, what kind of meat they were using? I still wonder, sincerely. I'm afraid that they were still using some meat that was, I don't know, one of the hollow that was already gone or something like that. Because if they could have used the meat of these creatures coming from Irumyui, what if they could have used other meat in order to create their dishes? I don't know, but even Riko ate that stuff, so I don't know if she is wondering too, oh, what did I eat at that time at this point? But the most important thing is that while Vazukian is asking her, do you want to cook this time, Ueko? She's making a terrified face, as if she's understanding that something is really wrong here. And at the same time, probably she's also thinking that at that time, Vazukian agreed to give the egg to Irumyui, to use it for her, because of this, because of the situation we are now, because he thought that she could have been the salvation for everyone, also because she was already a sacrifice. So Ueko, for the first time, is opening her eyes about Vazukian, and she's realizing the brutal companion she has next to her. Also because they are all sages, but as you can see, all the sages have different ways to approach others, different feelings, and they are not all the same. Thank God, I should say. I really liked even the scene after when Ueko decides to depart from Vazukian for a second and she's reaching Irumyui. I really liked that sort of intense approach that she had with her, because that was the first time after such a long time, because Ueko was sick throughout all that time and she couldn't come to visit her. You see on her face all the guilt she was feeling, because Irumyui is like this because of her and not because of others, sincerely, because she decided to give these relics to her. And unconsciously speaking, she condemned her forever. But the way in which she's recognizing what she did and the sense of guilt that she's feeling, it's really stunning. Even the way in which she's trying to hug her or to get in touch with her. Even the fact that she was eating her kids, that makes her feel disgusting, of course. But the way in which she was doing something like this, and she was trying to talk to her, even if Irumyui can't respond to her because she can't talk anymore, that was really stunning. And then she's asking herself, why am I not going to turn crazy because of all this happening? Is it because of a selfishness? Is it because of the will to survive that is more important than the rest of the things? As much as I was telling you, human beings are selfish, and if they have to protect someone, they wanted to protect themselves first. So this will to survive and not to die over there, the way in which they had to try to find a solution to recover that was useful for everyone. Was this the reason why she was not turning crazy after all she discovered about the conditions of Irumyui? But she's also admitting that she was really weak because she couldn't decide between her friend, that means Irumyui, and the rest of the villagers who could give her a home, who could give her a place to live. And how can you betray these? I mean, if we put ourselves in Ueko's position, it's really hard to thank them at the beginning because they host you, because they are becoming your second family, because you are creating an environment with these people and they give you the chance to start all over again. And at the same time, you should betray them because there is that one person that really cares about you, that trusts you a lot. So which one should we choose? This is really hard, and I think I can understand Weko's feelings, and especially because usually people tend to appreciate the community more. They don't want to have the community all against them when it's about to choose between 1 and 100, for example. They always prefer 100 instead of 1 because it's risky, because 2 is an inferior number than 100, and all these things. I mean, even human beings, most of the times, they prefer to even think the same things of other 100 people instead of thinking their own thoughts, even if they are just one, even if they are independent, even if they are not thinking as much as all the others. But sometimes, for human beings, it's more convenient to stand on the side in which you find more people than others, because it can be more helpful. And that's why Weko made the same mistake, because when there was time to stand up and say, no, you're doing something horrific to my friend, let's not do this, let's not do this again, let's stop by doing this, she couldn't do that. And she didn't even refuse the food, but as I was telling you, she didn't know at that time what that was, because she was sick and she was not even noticing. But even after discovering this, she's not rebelling, because there's a contrast inside herself about who helped her so far, and the only person that was really trusting her, so she's in the middle. And when you're in the middle, it's really hard to choose one option only. But maybe, yeah, she chose the most convenient. And that's why she really feels guilty for that. And that's why, thanks to the honesty she's having, she's saying everything to Irumyui. And when she's trying to attempt a suicide, because she also prepared the knife to use, at that time Irumyui is stopping her and she's hugging her. I think that was really emotional, and in fact I was crying hard at that time, because you understand that even if Irumyui can't talk and can't say anything regarding what's happening, at the same time she understood that Weko wants to stay next to her, that she can't stand this situation anymore, and she can't agree with what Vazukian is trying to do. And the fact that she is rebelling, even if it's too late, that's already a step forward for Irumyui to understand that she's not abandoning her, and she's keeping, let's say, that promise that Weko was making to her. That means that she will never abandon her, that she will always stay next to her, and she will be there. She's really existing as a presence next to her. That is what Irumyui really wanted since the beginning. And that's why she's hugging her. And that was really awesome. I was crying hard, because when there are such an emotional scenes like that, I can't handle it. But I really want to appreciate not just the setting, but even the dialogue that was used here, and the recognition of the mistakes, the regrets, the guilt, the feeling of sorrow, everything, okay? The pathos that was created in this scene was everything. And the fact that Irumyui, with a gesture, even without talking, could express all her love to Weko, while Weko was struggling hard to tell her the truth and how she felt. That was pure love. You understand that between these two there was a bond that can't be cut somehow. And at the same time, while Irumyui is hugging her, Weko can still feel the heartbeat of Irumyui, and in that moment she can really relax herself over there by being hugged by her, because that's her shelter, that's something that she can recognize, while the rest of the community, it's unrecognizable, because she can't even understand where she is right now, why she's talking to these people that seem to be all crazy, why she can't even recognize her community that was supposed to be the community in which they could stay all together, they could face all the troubles together, but now Weko is discovering a new reality, and the only place where she can feel safe, the only place where she can feel home, it's next to Irumyui. So you can also see the way in which she's closing her eyes and she's feeling as if she's at home once again. And she's surrounded by this warm darkness that she really loves, because later in the episode she's confirming that she really loved that feeling that she had for Irumyui, because they could share things together that were similar, and she felt as if someone could understand her deeply. This warm darkness that can protect her somehow. Warm because it's really full of love, and also because it's like when you're inside hell, when everything is burning. And of course darkness because of everything we watched so far that is really, really dark. And then I really like Weko also because she's not the usual character that is always strong and she always knows what to do and she's so self-confident. No, she is a type of character that is really fragile, and she's not afraid to show her fragility in front of others, especially in front of the people she cares. And I really like this side of this character because she's really human. I mean, humans are both strong but even fragile. And I think that that's a greatness of this character, even because here Weko is experiencing confusion. She's no more understanding where she is, with whom she is. And she doesn't even know what to do anymore because when she was trying to save Irumyui, at the end of the day she couldn't. And now that she wants to do something for Irumyui, she doesn't know if that's what Irumyui's wish is still. She doesn't know if she has to stop her. And if she stops her, maybe she doesn't understand that that was her wish, so she's doing another mistake. The fear to repeat the mistake that is going ahead throughout the episode, and it's causing Weko such a confusion because she can't have a direct reply from her because she can't talk. And here it is, the enigma of what to do, the free will to act, because you don't know the answers, you have to try to find the answers by yourself. And sometimes these answers are cruel, horrifying, and terrible. So are you ready to face them or not? Are you ready to try, or is it better for you to escape? That's what Weko is feeling. So I really like even this confusion that she's feeling, because she is just let us understanding that we can also feel the same thing when we are acting and we are doing something specifically, but we don't know if we are going to do something good for a person or we are going to harm them. We are going to cause them troubles. We don't know. But anyway, we have to choose what to do. And then she's remembering that for Irumyui, the only thing that counts is to have a Weko on her side and to have a Weko over there. So that's the most important thing for her. And once again, she's crying and she's repenting for everything that she has done. And as much as I was telling you, it seems as if Weko is chained because she doesn't know what to do anymore. Even if she's choosing one thing, maybe she's making another mistake and everything can turn worse. So it's like as if her soul is chained. Her thoughts are chained. Her actions are chained. And this is just a pure hell, because you know what you would like to do. That means to save your friend, be with your friend forever, but you know that you can't because you don't know what to do. So this is the hardest punishment ever, when you would like to do something but you can't because you don't know, or when you wanted to save somebody but you can't because you don't know if what you do can create a bad consequence once again. Hell is not just a setting. Hell is also a condition of your mind. It's something that can affect your psychology. It's something that can burn your mind. And that's what's happening to Weko. Not just your mind, to be honest, even your heart, sincerely, but I mean your feelings, but that's how Weko is right now. She's stuck into a limbo, because the limbo is created, and even Dante knows this, the limbo is created because you can't choose what to do, because you are stuck and it's really hard for you to make a decision. But then Weko is saying another sentence that I really liked, and it's really coherent because it really happens, when she's saying that people in hell are still people living somehow. The only way in order to live is to stay on surface and is to stay on a good place. But we also need to remember, as much as Weko is saying, that even in hell there are people living. People are adapting themselves based on the setting they are living. Or living creatures, I mean living things. It doesn't matter if you're a human being or not, but that makes you understand that the setting is making you as you are. And it's a reflection of what you experience. It's a reflection of the place you're living, and the place where you're living can affect you as well, because you are going to adapt yourself to the place you're living. So I really liked this sentence, and it's really meaningful because you also understand through the episode, and in this specific scene, the setting is corrupting all of them. You see people praying over there in front of Irumyui. I mean, it's like a cult scene, to be honest, because you see all these people praying in front of Irumyui and hoping that she can give other creatures so they can eat and they can still feel safe, they can still go ahead living there, because for them, there's no other solution. They are condemned, of course, and there's no escape, so they need to eat, otherwise they are going to die. But even in this case, who cares if Irumyui is going to suffer? Because she can't even speak. So the fact that she can't even talk, probably for them, it's just like, okay, she's not saying anything, so it's good for her to do something like this. Can you understand? I mean, some people are easily judging what they see, and they don't comprehend that behind what people see there's something else. There is the unknown, there is something that is not explained, but it exists. And in that case, thanks to those prayers, they were lacking of understanding Irumyui, because Irumyui was suffering. She was screaming hard, even if they couldn't hear her, but she was. And they have never imagined, or they have never asked themselves, how is Irumyui now? Oh, we are cursing Irumyui now. We are eating her kids. We are eating her to survive. No, they don't even wonder how does it feel, and they don't even want to wonder. That's the problem. And in fact, Weko is saying prayers and lies. Prayers because of course, they needed to survive. And in order to survive, and being selfish enough to survive, they need food. And in order to gain food, they pray to Irumyui to stay like this, to give them food, and to be happy in this way. On the contrary, there are lots of lies. First lies were said by Vazukian when they reached the Golden City. They said, here we create our dominion. We are the first humans here, so let's create our place here. And then he was promising them lots of things by lying to them since the beginning and till the end. But then she was promising all of them such beautiful things by brainwashing them, by telling them that this is even better than gold. Look where we are the first ones coming here. As if by saying this, their importance was increasing instead of others. Or in the case of Weko, she said maybe sometimes lies. For example, I will always treasure you, Irumyui. I will never abandon you. I will stay next to you. I will never betray you. But then you're going to eat the creatures coming from herself. This is a sort of a betrayal. This is a sort of lie. So as you can see, this layer of the abyss is perfectly matching to what we are experiencing now, because we are almost reaching the bottom of it and we are still not facing the worst stuff. So can you imagine what's going to happen in season 3 or even in the next movie? I don't even want to imagine this, but this makes you understand that the level of punishments or the level of evil stuff is not ended. Maybe it's just the beginning. And then another thing that she was saying regarding Irumyui is that once they were all got used to this hell, I mean the fact that they couldn't climb up the abyss anymore, the fact that they had to eat what they had to eat, etc, 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 Irumyui suddenly stopped crying. That is something crazy, because she was crying for all that time. And does this mean that she stopped crying because she was almost dying? That could be possible. And in fact, later you understand that there is something really important happening, because it's like as if the first relic can't be used anymore. It seems as if this relic is out of energy. I mean, I don't know what happened sincerely, but we understand that from one relic you pass to the second one, because Vazukian is announcing that he was putting another egg, another cradle of desire inside Irumyui. So she could maybe still be alive, even if it was not the same as before, and in fact she stopped crying. But one thing that Irumyui is saying, even if you can't understand, is a kapyu. It's another word from the language they are using, and we don't know what this means. But is it a way to say sayonara, I mean see you later, or is it a way to say I'm suffering or I'm dying, something like that? I don't know. It was said that this first egg was shattered. I mean, it was broken into pieces somehow, or it couldn't work anymore. And in this case, if that's so, did Vazukian search for another egg? Because even if I can't excuse him, of course, maybe he wanted to save her, to keep her still alive, so they could have gone on in the same way anyway. I don't know. But maybe this exchange of eggs, the fact that there is a second one now, could have helped Irumyui to stay alive, and for Weko not to suffer this losing, and also for the entire community not to perish, because if there is no more Irumyui, they are also going to perish automatically. So it's an advantage for everyone that Irumyui is still alive somehow. And Vazukian at that time is saying that when Weko was weak, even Irumyui was feeling weak. There is this bond that is connecting the two, that is affecting both of them in the case they are weak, or it's increasing their energy when they are strong. So what I'm saying is, connected with what I was telling you before about the relationship between mother and daughter, what if even between Riko and Liza it's the same? I mean, what if Liza too is strong now, because Riko is strong, and if Riko one day will feel weak or will feel down or will feel she's almost dying, who knows, but anyway, what if in that case even Liza, if she's still alive, can feel the same? Because yeah, I think that this episode is connecting mothers and daughters as much as I was telling you. So what if Liza is still alive and is really waiting for Riko deep down the abyss? But we needed to understand in which form she's waiting for her. And Vazukian is also saying that until Weko will be alive, she will also be alive too. I mean, Irumyui will still go on living. And this reminds me of Prushka and Riko. Do you remember? Because even with the Prushka, when she was released, let's say, thanks to the white whistle, Prushka was saying maybe to Faputa that without Riko, she can't live. And that's why, by knowing now who Faputa is, we understand that even in the case of Prushka, Prushka can't live without Riko. If Riko one day will die, Prushka will die, because they are connected right now. Prushka is Riko's white whistle, and even in this case, Weko is Irumiui's mom. So of course, they can't live one without the other one. At this point, it's thanks to Weko that they are all safe. Because if Weko dies, Irumiui dies, and if Irumiui dies, all the other die. So, as you can see, there is a sort of a chain connecting one and all the others that was started by Weko, unfortunately. Vazukian is also explaining that he was finding this other egg, this other cradle of desire, thanks to the interference units. At this point, I'm thinking, is Vazukian becoming the leader of these interference units? Because this reminds me even of Bondorudo. Bondorudo was the leader, and behind, do you remember, he had some interference units. So what if in the meantime Vazukian, while all the others were sick, he was starting getting in touch with these interference units, and he was demanding them to become the leader so he could have a certain power on that layer. I'm wondering, because by not being affected by this contaminated water, yeah, probably there is the chance that in that moment he could stand up and say, look, I am the leader now. You have to follow what I say, and if you follow what I say, I'm going to exchange this favor you make to me by giving you some knowledge about who we are, about some other things that you don't know, etc., etc. So this could be possible. But anyway, they found this second egg. Let me tell you, where? Is it the same place in which all the other, the Survey food team found the first one? If that's so, can you tell us where you found it? Is this the only egg they found, or did they find others? In the case of Vazukian, he had even the third egg. But we don't know how many eggs like these we can find in that area. Did he go personally with the interference units, or together with them, or just the interference units? See, once again, I have to tell you this. I don't trust these interference units. I told you already. Because even if they seemed to help them, something is telling me something is wrong about them. It's like as if, yeah, they wanted to help them, but at the same time, even the interference units, who are just robots, they are these robotic creatures who just wanted to obtain, touch, observe, and whatsoever. Anyway, they are helping them for real, or they are just cursing them more than before. And then, once Vazukian is handling this second egg and is rescuing Irumiui and themselves first, he's saying, oh, thank God we are in time, as if he already planned this once again, probably since the beginning, since he saw the result when Weko was giving this egg to Irumiui. Maybe Vazukian already got in touch with the new info, and he was told that maybe this cradle of desire will not last so much, so they needed to find others in order to keep going on surviving. But in this case, Irumiui keeps going ahead being a machine that is feeding others, and from Vazukian's point of view, who cares if we are cursing her one more time? Because look, if that cradle of desire, the first one, was perishing, let's say, and even Irumiui was dying, everything was over. But in his opinion, who doesn't even care about Irumiui, who cares if we are cursing this baby girl over and over and over again if we can have our life saved? That's the most important thing. to be selfish, to survive no matter what. At this point, I wanted to ask another question. Is Riko going to reach this level one day? I mean, I really hope that the team we know one day will not face this problem. That means that one day one of the three or one of the four, if Faputa is joining, has to sacrifice one of the other in order to survive. I really hope that this is not going to happen, but it can happen because we know that deep inside of the abyss everything can happen. Let's stay tuned and keep on watching, because at that time, we didn't even know what Riko chose. Do you remember? Because she wanted to save Nanachi and she had the three options given by Belaf, and she didn't even have the time to finish the sentence. So she was already being able to sacrifice herself for the sake of Nanachi. So what if it's happening to them too later? But then finally Weko is asking one of the most important questions for this episode, that is this what Irumyui's wanted to wish? I don't think so, personally. I mean, I don't think that Irumyui wished for the second time to be cursed like that. Sincerely, I don't think so. Even if this could regard Weko, because Irumyui, by knowing that Weko was there, etc., and she could risk her life, probably Irumyui could have said, let me save Weko. Okay, it could be possible, but at the same time, I don't really believe that she wanted to face this type of suffering over and over and over again. So Irumyui wished for something else in this case, and I think at this point that the thing that she wished was to create a real child, the last one, the most important one. And in order to do something like this, she had to sacrifice all the others, because as much as in the previous part her creatures were sacrificed in order to let them survive, now everything has to go back to the origin. That means Irumyui once again. So I think this is like the cycle of nature. I mean, you are born, you grow, and then you die, and then you go back to what you were before. That means ashes. Right? So even in this case, it's possible. I mean, Irumyui, after suffering a lot and after knowing that her creatures were taken away and used in order for let them survive, now it's time to bring everything back to her and to create the last child, that is the most important one, that is embodying all of them, let's say. And even it's embodying the wish of hers that are the most important ones. I think that was a great wish. I mean, if that's the wish, that's great. And even in this case, when Vazukian is explaining everything that he did, that he was helped, etc., no reaction, no facial expression, as if he's in trance. I mean, as if he's not even responding as much as what he was before. And that's why I'm asking myself, is he the same Vazukian that we saw since the beginning? Or, as much as Weko was saying even in the previous episode, was he possessed by something? Maybe by the abyss itself? Because the more we were going deep down the abyss, the more he was changing attitude, the more he was not responding as before, the more we saw that Weko was not sure about who he was already. So that's why I'm saying, was he, Vazukian, a good person, let's say, at the beginning, and then he was turning something evil, not just because of himself or his decisions, but also because something else was affecting him? Because maybe Vazukian is a puppet of the abyss, or a puppet of the creator of the abyss, because of the circumstances that are happening right now, and also because they are in the abyss. So as much as I was telling you even in the previous commentary regarding the title of this story, Made in Abyss, everything that is made in Abyss is not as much as what it was before. It's changed, is modified. So what if, as much as for what happened to Bondorudo, even Bondorudo maybe was affected by the Abyss, affected by this greed of knowledge. We can't judge easily even Vazukian as a character, even if it's not so difficult also to do so based on what we saw. But at the same time, what if Vazukian is just used by this energy of the Abyss that is making everyone become bad or cursed or eaten or something like that, because the most important thing is the Abyss that has to survive no matter what. And that's why I was telling you, it's like as if we are in a cult, because if Vazukian is possessed, let's say, he is losing his personality, he is losing his free will to choose, he is losing his thoughts, he is just a puppet commanded, and every time he has to say yes, 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 let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, no matter what. But this is happening because he is losing his humanity in another way. I mean, if for the Hollows, they are losing their humanity because they are losing their bodies, etc., etc., in this way, in this case, in Vazukian's case maybe, he is losing his humanity because he is thinking as if he is a monster. So what if this is possible too? And that's why maybe if we think that sacrificing a girl like this, it's abominous, in his possessed mind, it's not wrong, because it was just a matter of destiny, because her destiny was to be sacrificed. So he is just following what was written on her back. And by following this, he thinks that he was right. And then, as much as I was telling you in the previous episode, how does he know how Irumyui is feeling right now? How is supposed to know this? Even when Irumyui starts moving her tentacles and Ueko is saying what's going on, and he's saying, oh, she's just trying to approach you. How does he know this? How does he have a proof of what he's saying? Is it because he was always trying to convince others, and that's why he is also trying to convince Ueko about that? Does he have another kind of knowledge that he was getting in touch with while all the others were sick and he was not affected? Last but not least, Vazukian is saying time has come. Time has come for what? I mean, to create the village? To fulfill the wish that he was also wishing? To create a Faputa, maybe, because he wished for that too. Or I could see this even on another side. What if Vazukian wanted to find the second egg to be able to create a Faputa, because Faputa is the embodiment of all of them. And it was also a way, probably, to go out from all these curse. So, as you can see, even in the most malevolent way to see this story, there should be even this 1% of the benevolent side that is telling you that maybe Vazukian was just trying to find a way, even if it's a super abominous, super disgusting, super terrifying and whatsoever, to go out from there, to find a way to escape. If Faputa later will be helped by Reg, Riko and Nanachi, she will go out from there. And if she goes out from there and she can reach Riko and all the others and she can join them and she can climb up the abyss one day when everything like this will be finished, they will be free. Well, they will all be free once again. Because I'm in Vazukian's mind right now. He knows that they are cursed forever. He knows that they can't climb up the abyss anymore. So what if he was creating all these, if he can't reach that goal personally, if they unify all of these together, they can maybe find a way to go out from there. Even if it's not with their human bodies, but if the soul is inside Faputa of all of them, they can. And it's anyway a way to survive. Then we know that Vazukian is saying it's time to go because we are going to approach the real wish of Irumyui. So let's show it to you. I mean, let's see what's going on. But even in that case, was that Irumyui's wish? I don't think so, because I also think that what if, do you remember at that time when there was the first egg, the first wish to wish, right? You saw that Irumyui was handling this cradle of desire, but on top of it, there was the hand of Ueko touching Irumyui's hands. So what if that was not just Irumyui's wish, but it was Irumyui's wish connected with Ueko's wish? And maybe at that time, Ueko was just wishing Irumyui's happiness, and Irumyui's happiness was to become a mom. So as you can see, there are some connections between the two wishes. And what if it happened the same thing even for Vazukian when he was implanting this second egg? Maybe that was not entirely Irumyui's wish, because maybe Vazukian put a hand on top of it and touched it and could create a mess by doing this. I mean, maybe he was also wishing for something and that could have been transferred to Irumyui that was wishing another thing. That means Faputa, and everything turned into a mess. But then we reached the moment in which Belaf can't handle it anymore. He is tired, he can't go ahead living with this regret, with this curse, with this sin, because he knows that he was eating lots of creatures from Irumyui, and he was taking away something really dear to her, and this is impossible to handle. And that's why I told you even before, if it was for me, look, I was already on the other side. And at the same time, before Belaf asks this, we see that they are reaching a certain area that is so dark, and there are lots of creatures flying, and some of these creatures are taking some of these villagers away from all the group, and they are transformed. Some of them are exploding because of the force field, etc., etc. So you see that even Belaf, is requesting to let him go and not to stay with them anymore. But Vazukian insists, because he says that he's really intelligent, he's really noble, and he's really useful. So they can't leave him behind. And I open a bracket. I think that even in that case, Vazukian was planning to sacrifice Belaf. I mean, I think that thanks to his sacrifice, that was already the starting point, because if Belaf was starting asking to be sacrificed, maybe even all the others could have been convinced to do the same because of the result. So they could follow the third sage, of course. So as you could see, I think that even in that case, Vazukian was planning a lot. He was planning that one day Belaf could have been used, that this goal could have been reached more and more and more. That's why I'm saying Vazukian is really terrible. Was he this terrible since the beginning? Or something changed while going down the abyss? And then the interference units that they are asked by Vazukian where they are saying that they are almost next to the center of the pit. I think that the pit is the abyss. So are we almost close to the bottom of the abyss? That's true, because of course below this sixth layer there is the seventh layer and the bottom of the abyss. But the center, it means the center of the pit. I mean, if the pit is like this, round like this, are we in the center? Or it means that we are next to the center of the abyss, that means the bottom. We see that while Vazukian is saying that Irumyui doesn't like the shade, she is englobing these creatures, and then she's, I don't want to say exploding, but she's having a strange reaction. And at the same time, Belaf can't handle it anymore, so he's asking her to be punished, to be englobed, to change form, to take everything from him, because he can't handle it anymore. And I really Like even in this case, how the guilt, the desperation, the suffering was depicted from his eyes, from his face, how it was described not just thanks to words, but even thanks to gestures, thanks to facial expressions. It was really intense. And at the same time, you understand that Belaf has even the guilt to feel alive because of the death of others, because of the sacrifice of others. And this is terrible. Can you imagine? It's like when you make a car accident and you didn't do it on purpose, but the car in front of you had two people, and these two people are dead because of you, and you are alive. You could survive. That's something that I can't even imagine. I mean, the feeling to feel guilty or to feel dirty, nasty, whatsoever, because you are alive thanks to others, and these others were sacrificed for your sake. That's simply incredible. And most of all, even the sense of guilt based on how the greed of knowledge, could let him reach this level that he is right now. This sense of greed that the more you have, the more you want, the more important you are, the more you want to become more important, the more intelligent you are, the more you want to discover. I mean, this greed to gain everything that can consume you, that can devour your soul and let lose yourself. And now we see what Belaf wants. He is asking for something. He wants to be punished, but on the contrary, he has to donate something. And he wants to donate his body, his organs, everything. And this is what happened even later with Nanachi. When Nanachi was finding a Mitti, Belaf was asking what Nanachi had to offer. And Nanachi said, all of myself. So as you can see, what's happening now to Belaf, it's the result of everything that will happen later, of everything that Belaf will ask when someone wants to ask something. That means, what do you have to donate? What's the most valuable thing you want to give me? That's the result of what he also experienced, because there was nothing else to do for his sake. And that's also why he can't go out from that cave that Irumyui built for him. Did you notice? I mean, there is that barrier that can't be surpassed, and now we understand why Belaf can't go out, sincerely, because he's stuck over there. And if someone wants to go inside, like Riko, for example, who wanted to save Nanachi, she has to offer something. But it has to be valuable. It has to be of a rich level in order to gain what she wants. And then let me tell you, all the people who were seeing Belaf transforming, that they are saying, oh Belaf, you're so beautiful, what an amazing transformation. I mean, I was like, what the F is this? Because how can you say that this is beautiful? You have seen your comrade destroyed in front of your eyes, and by being brainwashed, of course, by Vazukian, you don't even realize that he lost everything. That not just the body, but even his mental health is gone, and you're saying, that's beautiful. That was creepy, let me tell you. And once again, Vazukian is saying, thank you, Belaf. Finally, we made it in time. I mean, from here on, we understand that Vazukian's plan was to bring all these people down here, to let them be convinced about something like this. And Belaf was just a helper, because Vazukian was the one who was having this plan, the one who was making this as a prophecy, and everyone was believing in this prophecy. Belaf was helping him till the end, and that's why he was thanking him. This thing that Vazukian wanted to create was to let be englobed by Irumyui, so then after that, something would have been created. As much as I was telling you before, once they are all becoming a part of a Faputa, then there is maybe a certain chance that they can go out from where they are, and no matter how they will go out, they're out. It means that the curse might finish, because Vazukian said, let's go and see what's Irumyui's real wish. What was this real wish? Is it to create the Faputa? I think so. I mean, to create a great child, the one and only. But at the same time, how was it possible to create this child? Thanks to all the others. Thanks to all the others who could give her the bodies, the souls, the brain, that means intelligence, many other characteristics. Like in the case of Belaf, he was the most intelligent, the bravest, he had great characteristics. So if you incorporate in one being all these characteristics, and even the genes, if we talk about genetics, that make Faputa an embodiment of all of them, that's great, because you can create this being. In this case, I remember when Nanachi was saved by Mitti. I mean, Mitti was sacrificed, but because of the love Mitti could feel for Nanachi, Nanachi was not feeling the force field as much as Mitti. So even in this case, the sacrifice that is Irumyui was sacrificed, or wanted to be sacrificed, in order to create something even better, something that could be rescued. That means Faputa, that means this great and final child that can have a chance to go out. And if they go out all together, they made it. No matter how they are, no matter if they lost their bodies, their souls and everything. But something is still inside the Faputa, that is all of them, that is what they donated to her. So when Ueko keeps repeating, is this Irumyui's wish? I don't think so, somehow. I mean, I don't think that she wanted her to be donated all the bodies, all the souls, etc., etc., etc. What the Irumyui wanted was to create a child, to become a mom. And she made it, actually, because Faputa is her child. But what the Vazukian wanted was to create maybe this being and give themselves a chance to go out from there. And that's why Belaf was used as much as all the others to reach that point, because Vazukian by himself couldn't make it. He needed other people to do so. So as you can see, these descendants to the abyss, these descendants because there is this promise of the golden city, etc., etc., at the end of the day, it was a simple curse. And who do we have to thank? Vazukian, because by brainwashing them, by telling them that there was this prophecy, etc., etc., they were all condemned. But now we have to find a way to go out. We have to find a way to be free again. The only way to do so is to one is all is one. Inside the Faputa, there's at least 1% of all of them. And in fact, Vazukian, after Belaf's sacrifice, is asking all the others to do the same. Please, let's sacrifice all of you guys. Give to Irumyui the body, the soul, everything. Come on, it's our turn, etc., etc. And of course, all these people who are brainwashed and they don't even ask themselves questions, they say, yes, okay, and they are queuing and they go. Unbelievable if you think about that. And it's like as if we are talking about a perfect being in this case, because she is intelligent, she can speak, she can be so fast, she can attack, she is pretty strong. I mean, she has all the characteristics that they couldn't have before, because they were all contaminated, they were all sick, etc., etc. But now everything is different. Faputa is all having great characteristics. And that's why Faputa is the village somehow, because she is having inside herself all the villagers. And she's the result of all these donations that she could receive from Irumyui, from her mom. So Irumyui gained back and they lost. It's the opposite of what was happening in the previous episode, when they were gaining and she was losing. Now everything is reversed. Everything is going back to the origin. You took something away from me, now I'm going to get it back. And it's a sort of karma, let's say, because if they sacrificed Irumyui like that, now it's time to get everything back because they were too greedy. And all the villagers, by following what Vazukian was saying, they were just following like sheep, so that they are following the owner. And at the same time, they all became sinners because they were eating parts of the creatures of Irumyui. They are losing now what they hoped to gain before, that means their life. That's the price they had to pay, actually. And then when he's saying, look now guys, this place, it will be better than gold, this is our home. Every time he's using these words to convince them to do something bad, especially home, because they don't have a home anymore, and when they hear home, they feel homesick, they feel nostalgia. And that's what happened, actually. They were convinced. And that's why even Faputa's birth was full of anger and vengeance. Because you see that she's screaming everything she couldn't scream before. She is definitely expressing her mother's fears, her mother's anger after everything that happened. And now she's the voice. The lost voice, that now it's back. And when everyone is following Vazukian and his plan, Ueko doesn't want to accept that. And that's why, in fact, even at the beginning, before even knowing her story, she was saying, I was objecting when this village was created. And in fact, now we understand why. Because I'm thinking also another thing. What if these eggs, these cradle of desires, these relics, are the real culprit of all these? What if these relics, by being a part of the abyss, by incorporating the abyss somehow, are mischievous, are something that you shouldn't touch, and in fact it was said already, because they are super strong, and it's like as if they are having a strong will too, that they can cause other people's troubles. Maybe these relics inside themselves, they are containing something of the abyss that is convincing, that is misgiving, that is turning people into something that they are not supposed to become. Like a sort of temptation, because everything is connected with wishes, and this is a temptation that can take you to hell, definitely. So maybe these relics are not so innocent as we might think, but they are the result of all these. And maybe these relics are also in contact with the creator. They are part of the abyss, so if the abyss was created by somebody or by something, they are the result of his will, its will, her will, we don't know. That's why people shouldn't get in touch with it, or is it a way to test human beings, always regarding that free will thing that I told you, in which you have to choose what to do. You have to choose if you have to get that relic or not, if you wanted to touch it or not, what do you want to wish for thanks to that relic or not. And then the Ueko wants to sacrifice herself. She wants to end her life because she can't handle it anymore, because she feels that she's the cause of everything. And in fact, she's even saying, I should have done it even before this. Does she refer to the previous moment in which she was reaching the abyss, when she knew that she was cursed already somehow? She felt guilty, or she felt as if she was darkness. Do you remember? And then at that time, Belaf said, inside your eyes, even if they are pitch dark, I can see the light. So I think that she was always thinking, as much as I was already telling you, that she was a curse, and every time she was touching others or she was getting in touch with others, she was cursing automatically all the others. And that's why she can't stand this situation anymore. And she thinks that she's the reason why all these happened. But at the same time, it seems as if Ueko wants to escape easily from her responsibility, because if she's ending her life, she's not facing or she's not trying to find a way to escape in that sort of a reality. And it's not ending your life that you can solve anything. Weko understands this later because she's still in time to change things. I think that if she really wants, she can. It was too easy. It was the easiest path to end her life like that. On the contrary, it's better if she stays, and if she is trying to find a solution, not just for herself, not just for all the others, not just for Faputa, but even for Irumyuui. Because if she's ending her life, she's abandoning Irumyuui, and maybe she can be cursed even after life. I think it's better if she stays over there and she's still cooperating with Riko and all the others, because there is a chance for her to change things. I really liked that in this moment you see Vazukian and Weko is on top of this cliff while Vazukian is behind her, while in the previous episode everything was turned upside down. I mean, Vazukian was on the edge of this cliff and Weko was looking at him. It's like as if in this case, Vazukian is depending on Weko, and Weko is becoming the key of everything, because if she dies, even Irumyuui dies, and they die too. I really liked these opposite thing as much as I really liked these colors that you see below her, because it's like as if it's this golden tone of color that I really like. And while she's looking at it, she's talking about this warm darkness. And once again, I want to repeat this. Warm is because it's connected to a curse that it can burn you alive. And it can refer even to the great love that Weko could feel for Irumyuui and vice versa. And darkness, for sure, because of everything dark that happened so far and that caused the troubles to everyone. The abyss is the real culprit of all these, because once they, or maybe the compass, yeah, because the compass attracted them over there. And while he is trying to save Weko, because Weko is launching herself from the cliff, but Vazukian is trying to help her, we discover that he used the third egg, the third cradle of desire. You see that even Weko is saying that he is gone and he is used. Of course, he is gone because Vazukian is no more the same as before, as much as I was telling you. I got that feeling. And used because, is he used by the relics? Is he used by the abyss itself? Is he used by somebody else? I mean, we saw in this episode that he was always getting in touch with the interference units. What if he was used by them because their only purpose was to observe, to gain new info, to touch, to collect. So what if he was used too at the end of the day? That could be another sort of karma, because he was using others and then he was also used. Because maybe he was becoming also, in his case, a puppet of the system. I mean, a puppet of the setting that he is right now, that means the abyss. And then he is also saying nobody can take away Irumyuui from you. Irumyuui is all yours or something. Did he wish for that? That this bond could have always lasted as much as possible? What did Vazukian wished for? That's something interesting too. But anyway, it seems that it's connected to Irumyuui. I mean, to Irumyuui and Weko together. And in fact, immediately after, you see that Weko is in that condition as much as we saw before, when she's chained, I mean, she is connected through these cables, and Vazukian is saying that she is inside Irumyui's brain, as if these connectors are taking her directly to Irumyuui, and she can feel what she's feeling because she can't talk anymore. And she lost even her humanity completely, so she will never be able to go back. And she's in pitch darkness, because that's what Irumyuui feels too. But she can sense, I mean, Weko can sense things as much as Irumyuui is feeling. So there is this attachment as if they are twins. let's say, and they both can feel the other one. But we need to remember that Riko disconnected Weko from those cables, so Weko could go out from it. So it's like as if, thanks to Riko, this bond is disconnected. Then Vazukian says that since the first time he saw that compass that Weko has, he felt homesick, as if he was attracted to reach the abyss. At this point I'm saying, what if even for Liza and Riko is the same? Maybe even Liza was finding a relic and she was attracted by it, so she wanted to explore the abyss as much as the note that Riko had, that Riko received in season 1, that was said that it was written by Liza. Yeah, what if that note is an attraction for Riko to go deep down the abyss? And she also feels homesick because we are talking about her mom, as much as, in the case of Weko, she's going deep down the abyss with other comrades who are searching home. And what if that home is the abyss and it's attracting them for these? For this sort of a feeling of nostalgia, because now they can't have a home, and Weko wanted to have a home, wanted to have an environment, wanted not to be alone anymore, wanted to share her pain with somebody else. To create this warm darkness that could be comprehended by Irumyui only, because Irumyui too was sharing with her lots of pain, lots of darkness, and by sharing this info, she found someone who could understand her for real. And at the same time, she was the one who ruined everything, because she just wanted to find someone else who could understand her, as much as Irumyui wanted to find someone else who could understand her, but things went wrong because of Weko. So it's like as if now Weko preferred to go back in the past and erase everything that she has done and pretend as if nothing happened by attempting her suicide. But as much as I was telling you, that was stupid, because you can't solve anything. You're cursing more and more and more. And Vazukian was attracted by this will to discover, by this will to get in touch with the unknown, by understanding something that you can't understand, to analyze something you can't or you're not able to analyze, to gain something that you can't have, to think that something doesn't exist anywhere else rather than that place. See? An attraction, a bond, a pact, a temptation, all these are things that are going to have a repercussion on you, on yourself. And at this point, not all people can go deep down the abyss. Only courageous people can. Only people who are able to confront their limits, to accept them, to make these internal experience, this journey that is not just a physical because you're descending an abyss, but it's like as if you are confronting your inner self and you're understanding your weaknesses, your strengths, your weak points, your strong points, the way you feel when you have to go ahead and you don't know what's going to happen to you. I mean, as you could see, not many people descended completely the abyss because of this, because they were not brave enough. They were not brave enough to confront themselves compared to the setting, or they were not able to confront themselves as human beings and discover their fragility and discover that you have a limit, and that limit can't be surpassed. Even things regarding the 7 deadly sins, I mean, are you able to react to the most disgusting thing? How will you react? Will you respond in the same way, or will you be able to respond in the opposite way? That's why I'm saying this journey is not just going from top to bottom, physically speaking, as a setting, but it's going even from top to bottom inside yourself to discover who you are, and to be able to accept what you don't know about you, that is making you understand if you can survive or not and how you can survive or not. Some people are getting distracted, some other people are tempted, some other people are just wanting to explore. Some people wanted to reach somebody, they are waiting for them. As you can see, all of them have purposes, different purposes. Only few people can make this journey, because not all can. And we also know that for Riko, it was really important to find a home again and to start a new journey after all the bad things that she passed before. And when she could found this warm darkness, she was really happy. But then she had to confront the thing that she caused the pain to her source of light, this light of darkness that she was expecting to find in this golden city. And later we understand that in the meantime Irumyui was consuming all of them. She was still getting that light on, this light of hope, this light inside the darkness that could create her real wish, that means Faputa, her last child. And this child is different from all the others because it's conscious, because she can talk, because she can be fitted. I mean, everything that she has always wished for. And in order to create Faputa, she had to consume all the energy of all the others. She had to incorporate all the bodies, all the souls, to create this ultimate figure that is resembling her. Yeah, because she is having almost the same face, more or less. And it's like a chance for Irumyui to be reborn again, thanks to Faputa, because inside of Faputa there is also a part of Irumyui, except for all the others that are incorporated. So it's like as if Faputa is a way to rejoice, a way to be born again. And in this case, she's born in the abyss. So now the next step is to go out from where she is now and to find some peaceful way to go ahead with her existence. Look, even the place where Faputa is right now, it's like a belly. I mean, it's like as if she's inside of her own mother, because even if she exploded like that and these relic exploded together with her, we see that she is inside of Irumyui. She's still inside of her mom, because Irumyui is the village, Irumyui is the cradle, and Irumyui is the mother, as much as I was telling you. So she is all three. And now we understand why she is also the cradle, because she is containing in that area where Faputa is, Faputa. It's amazing to see how the setting is corresponding to the characters and to their wishes. That's so amazing. And Faputa, that she's finding herself over there, it's like as if she can't go out because Irumyui wants to protect her. She doesn't want to lose her this time, as much as all the other creatures that were lost. She doesn't want to lose the opportunity to see Faputa growing and Faputa being still alive. And at the same time, she's seen by all the others. She's seen by all these hollows who are looking at her, and they are terrified because they are hearing this huge scream that is connected to all the suffering Irumyui felt throughout all that time, and they can't avoid it. They have to feel it because it's because of them that now Faputa is screaming. Finally, it was a way for her to regain the voice she lost. Even this setting, see? These hollows are watching Faputa thanks to this barrier, because Faputa can't go out from it. Because it's like as if the curse is repeating again. But it's like as if we are in the hospital and we are seeing the newborn, right? It's the same, it's a cradle. And the mother is surrounding this cradle with her love that is Irumyui. Faputa is the village, because it's thanks to their donations that she can embody all of them. So this meaningful thing that is awesome. I really love all this stuff. What Faputa could feel is the regrets of all her siblings. I mean, her siblings is referred to Irumyui because you know that even her family didn't like her anymore as soon as they heard that she couldn't have kids. And even the fact that Irumyui was imprisoned in that condition and she couldn't even scream, she couldn't even talk. And even the fact that Irumyui was becoming the home of all the hollows that we see now. And that's why there is not even the force field in that area, because they are inside Irumyui, so they can survive. And going back to what I was telling you at the beginning of this commentary, the promise that maybe Reg made to Faputa was to come back and save her, because we know that when Faputa was born, there were these interference units who were crashed by her. Did you see? She was punching them so hard while she was screaming, as if she knew that it's because of them that Irumyui was in that status. And in fact, the second egg was found by the interference units. So what if they were all evil against her, except for Reg? Because you need to remember that Reg is an interference unit, and he is one of the most intelligent ones. You could see it also because the interference units could go inside the barrier. They could reach Faputa, but all the others couldn't. And if you remember, Reg was stopped by one of the interference unit because that interference unit said that he couldn't go over there. Otherwise he would have met Faputa, and it's not possible. Faputa can meet Reg, and in the past Reg was going through this barrier and he was talking to her. She was explaining everything that happened, and Reg promised her to help her with her wishes. That means to avenge her mom and to destroy the village by doing so. Next time we will meet, and next time I will come back, I will take you out from here and I will help you by doing this. And in fact, at the beginning of the episode, Faputa is saying, we will eradicate them. We, I think it's including even Reg, but Reg doesn't remember. So after Weko finishes all this narration, you see that even Riko wants to understand more about all this situation, but on the opposite side, Riko wants to save the village instead. Does this mean that one day, when Reg will remember everything, he will go against Riko because of this? Because he has to keep the promise, but at the same time Riko wants to save the village as much as she saved the Hollows 2 episodes before. Does this mean that there will be a contrast? Does this mean that Reg will sooner or later remember, and we will understand that Reg can't go ahead with Nanachi and Riko because of this? But I still hope that Faputa can join them, because Weko still hopes that Faputa can be free and can even grant her mother's wishes. Weko also hopes that this curse will be lifted, so in this case Faputa can go out from it. She is hoping for Faputa to find her own wish, and she hopes that she can set out for a joyful journey. That means, guys, I still think that Faputa will join Riko, Reg, Nanachi, Prushka and Mania. Because in this case, Faputa can join Reg, and maybe she can see that promise maintained, and she can join Riko because of what I told you at the beginning of the commentary. Riko and Faputa can have lots of things in common, especially because even Riko wants to reach her mom once again. And Faputa can help her because she has the same instinct. As much as Faputa really needs to start her own journey, her own story. And we know that Riko is really good in this because she's always giving opportunity to all the others who are chained, who are stuck, who want to start their own journey. So I think that the good thing for Faputa is to go ahead, and she can really be free to find her own path. That is also, I think, Irumyui's will, Irumyui's wish, because she, by being Faputa's mom, wants the best for her. By embodying all these bodies and souls, even all the others, partially speaking, can go out and be free. I really like even the fact that Faputa is called the lonely princess in darkness. That's really majestic if you think about that. But now we understand why she's called the princess, because she's the daughter of the queen, and the queen is Irumyui. Is this referred to the same queen that we saw in that episode when Riko was helping the Hollows defeating this queen? I mean, is it the same meaning of a queen, or is it different? But anyway, Faputa is a princess, lonely because she can't communicate with others, and that's why maybe the only one who could communicate with her was Reg. And in darkness because her setting was pitch dark, and even how she was born, it was due to dark circumstances. So as you can see, this way to represent these characters is amazing. Even lonely because she can't trust anybody because of Irumyui's legacy, because she knows what happened to her mom, and at the same time she knows that all of them looking at her are the culprits. Did you notice when Faputa was born and she was looking around, I think that she was looking for Weko, but Weko was not there, and she knew that the only one she could trust was Weko. All the others are guilty, so she was already escaping from all of them, and she was looking distantly to them because she didn't like them. She could sense that something was wrong there. Last but not least, I really liked the moment in which we understood even those black shadows that were next to Weko. I think that now we understand that those black shadows were all the creatures that were born by Irumyui and couldn't be born by her. And all these curses all together that were calmed down, they were hugged, they were cuddled by Weko. It's another way to suffer for Weko, for all the curse that she caused. And even in her case, she was inside this darkness where she couldn't see anything, rather these shadows. She was confined in this sacrifice hole. Her instinct as a mom, once again, was to comfort these shadows and to give them a name, because by giving them a name, they could even have an identity. The same identity that was lost when they were taken away from her or when they were dying because they were still born. So I really like this opposite way to see this thing, that even in darkness you can see this light of hope that is helping these shadows to be something. Because if you have an identity, you exist. And thanks to Weko, now, all these shadows exist. And I think that she's doing this for Irumyui, for her real wish. That means to be a mom, to be recognized as a mom. And that was so amazing. How she's saying her names, how she's taking care of them. She's doing what Irumyui couldn't do. And she's the love as a bridge that can connect Irumyui to them. So these cables that are connecting Weko to Irumyui is also a chance for Irumyui to know that Weko is taking care of them, that she doesn't have to worry now because Weko is there protecting them and doing what she couldn't do. That's so amazing. I think that this story makes you understand that love can be a solution, that real love exists, and no matter the negative circumstances that you can see or that you can find, there is always a way to solve things. And love can be made as a bridge. Love can be made as a dialogue, as a points in common, as interaction, as struggling together. There are so many ways, but the most important thing is that Weko could grant Irumyui's wish. That means to give them an identity and to be remembered, because if they are forgotten, they are dead for real. That was simply amazing. And we also understood why there were 3 holes, because there were 3 cradles of desires. the 3 relics. And even in this case, number 3, as much as I was telling you in the previous episode. But now Irumyuui is not as strong as before because Faputa inherited all the 3 eggs in order to be completed, in order to be born. And now we go back to Riko and Weko after the narration, and yeah, I understand Riko when she's saying that she wants to save the village, but I definitely understand Faputa because you can't stop one's will, especially if this will is so strong. And I really like when Weko was telling Riko, thanks to that example, that she was wrong, that she can't be stopped too, because if someone is telling her that she can't reach her mama because it's too dangerous, she will not refuse to go. She will go. So even Faputa has to reach her goal because her mother couldn't, and she wants to protect her mom. That's so amazing. I think Riko will understand later, probably, when she will meet Faputa and she will sense, maybe, the pain she felt. And maybe even thanks to Reg and the dialogue that they can have. The last thing is that Weko wants that Irumyuui will not be forgotten. And I'm pretty sure that this will happen because Riko will never forget this story. Riko will always remember everyone she met in the abyss. And that's why Riko is having inside her heart a treasure that she has to handle even later when she will be able to climb up the abyss once again. Okay guys, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for this huge commentary. So sorry for that, but it's so long and there were so many things to say. But in this case, I hope you enjoyed. And stay with me because next week I come back with episode 9 of season 2 of Made in Abyss. In the meantime, feel free to subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell. Bye guys, see you in the next video.